yeah, there's abusers everywhere. So, and there's some parents that get on there and like, hey, how do you guys not know about this? You should have done the Safe Sport course. It's great. I love seeing other parents telling parents to do their homework, protect your kid, because people are going to be out there that want to abuse them. And you need to arm your kid and yourself with the knowledge to prevent this, because there isn't one overarching body that's going to do it for you. You have to be proactive.
Remember, the show is PG-13, so you might hear a naughty word or two.
Russian world all-around and Olympic champion Angelina Melnikova is back. Her first meet is going to be the Paris World Cup in September. We have news on that. Who is the best gymnast in the world 2025? Spencer has the news. And a dismissed Chow's gymnastics coach sparked an FBI raid, and he has been arrested. We have a hero to thank for that. Australian gymnastics jail is back, we'll discuss. And we have some junior Pan Am highlights. Welcome to the number one gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica, and I'm here with Spencer from the Balance Beam Situation. Spencer, let us begin with the headlines, which we had a story from Valentina Rodionenko, obviously, the only Valentina, Russian Federation artistic head coach, who said that Melnikova will be competing at the Paris World Cup. And then we got the roster.
Yeah, roster. The preliminary roster the nominative roster is out for the Paris World Cup. Melnikova is on it as a authorized neutral athlete. Also, Jessica Gadarova is on this roster. Sabrina Voynea. It's kind of a deep event for a World Cup, which the Paris World Cup often is. So that's September 13th and 14th. But the news being Melnikova, who was approved as a neutral athlete earlier this year by the FIG. So she was one of the athletes who somehow got through whatever process they put the athletes through to decide who would be eligible to compete as a neutral athlete. She was approved. And so this will be, if she competes, which it hasn't happened yet, the first time that she has competed outside of Russia since 2021, in the fall of 2021, when she won the World's all-around championship. And we've kind of been anticipating this because the neutral athletes from Russia and Belarus are on the registration list, not by name, but the numbers of athletes are on the registration list for the World Championships. The FIG has been talking about, they changed the criteria a few months ago. They had a meeting at the FIG Executive Committee.
After Russia said, well, no one's going to compete if you don't let these athletes compete. And then magically, the FIG changed the rules and made it much easier for athletes to be independent, which in some, this also happened in swimming. So Swimming Worlds, this change was also made. There was lots of Russian athletes. And again, obviously we're not actually allowed to call them Russia because they're not allowed to compete for Russia, but they are Russian nationals competing.
Who are competing at these events. And with Melnikova in particular, the Ukrainian Olympic Committee has said, okay, how can you say that you screened athletes for support of the invasion in Ukraine, political affiliations, or what have you, and you've approved Melnikova, who stood in a primary election for Putin's party this year?
And
so how does she clear that as not having displayed political affiliations is the argument. And this has been a process marked by hypocrisy, FIG side from the beginning, starting with the decision that we're going to say Russian and Belarusian athletes are not allowed to compete, but that we're not going to extend that to officials, executive members of the executive committee, vice presidents. So what are you doing from the start has kind of been my question, and that extends to now. What is the standard? How does this make any sense?
Yeah. And there is, they changed the criteria, and then there is an independent organization that vets people for this. And then she did step down from running. So anyway, it's basically, there have been, how many, 49 minus 3 new AIN athletes, and all of them are Russian added. So to the FIG's list in the last month. So they've clearly the change criteria is in place. And so on the one hand, gymnastically, this will be very exciting to watch. We have Namor competing, Gadarova competing, Melnikova competing, all at this meet. And the Paris World Cup is always a big party of a dramatic meet. And so gymnastically, it's going to be really exciting to watch. And we're going to talk about this a little bit more because we're going to talk about who the best gymnasts in the world are in 2025. I want to talk about another story now that is huge news, and that is that Sean Gardner, I want to repeat that name, Sean Gardner, was at 3 different gyms that we know of, but he was fired from Chow's in Iowa. This is Chow's, as in the famous gym that produced Sean Johnson, many of our favorite elites, Nora Flatley, Gabby Douglas. None of them are involved in this story. I want to make that very clear, but this is part of it's a big gym that actually had very good policies in place. This coach was fired from there, and then it took a little while, but he has just been arrested for possession of, I'm going to call it CP because that's what it's called in the story, child pornography, which is not as what we refer to it as anymore, but that is how it is referred in this great investigative piece by the AP. I want to give them a shout out for this. This is one of the reasons that journalism matters, because they put pressure on this situation and it made a huge difference. So this coach Sean Gardner was hired at Chow's in 2018. He was placed on a safe sport suspension July 28th, 2022, looking up his history. And the reason for the suspension wasn't made clear to Chow's. So they were aware that basically he was put on the list. The first list, it's like, you can't have unsupervised contact with kids. Well, all unsupervised contact with children or any one-on-one situations are forbade in coaching by Safe Sport. So this is suspension level makes no sense to me. I also, on the one hand, understand from an employer's point of view, without proof or without a conclusion from Safe Sport, you can't necessarily fire someone that you're just we're investigating something. I don't know that they can actually do that. I mean, maybe it depends on the labor laws in Iowa. But I'm talking about this because I feel like I think the AP article kind of threw Safe Sport under the bus, and I think Safe Sport actually did their jobs the best of their abilities. It was Safe Sport who informed the police in Iowa that this had happened. It was then nothing could happen in 2022 because there weren't any of the victims who were willing to come forward. But then a hero emerged. So we have Finley Weldon to thank for this. She came forward to press charges in 2024 to report the crime. It's really, she is a hero and she should be really proud of herself. And she came forward publicly because she said, I have nothing to be ashamed of. This guy does. I did the right thing. I'm really proud of myself. And Finley, you did. Thank you for what you did. What's interesting about this story is the AP investigation got the police report. And the police report said, quote, that this coach, Sean Gardner, was accused of, so trigger warning, we're going to talk about sexual abuse here. So, accused of sexually abusing at least 3 young gymnasts at Chow's and secretly recording others undressing in a gym bathroom at his prior job in Mississippi. Further quote, primarily targeted children at the gyms in Iowa and Mississippi, as well as a 3rd gym in Louisiana where he worked for 10 years until 2014. And so the police and FBI are trying to seek other victims right now. So you can get in touch with them. There's an FBI hotline, and there's also, you can contact the local police, and they should know about this case. Ask, if you do contact the police, make sure you ask for an officer, a detective specifically, who is trauma informed, trained and trauma informed. This is very, very important. Ask for that specific person. If they don't have that person, say you'll wait to talk to them. And you can also call advocacy organizations, and you can have an advocate, a volunteer, and sometimes an attorney will go with you or sit with you. If the police come to you, then they will sit with you and go through the process. So you're not doing this alone. You know what your rights are, and you have someone advocating for you through the process. You don't have to do this alone. I just want people to know that. So what the bummer about this is that the police really couldn't act because they didn't have anyone willing to prosecute and come forward and file those reports back when it was originally reported in 2022. And what further hurt the investigation by the AP into what was going on is that the AP asked for the police report, but Authorities in Iowa sealed the court documents after the AP asked about the investigation earlier this month. They weren't sealed until the AP asked for them. And you might say, well, there's minors involved. Obviously, it should be sealed. No, you just redact the name of the victims. This is normal policy. You never reveal the name of victims. So I point this out because this is why journalism matters, why it's important to support journalism, why it's important to support your local news organization, organizations like the AP. They are the ones putting pressure on. I mean, this sealing a document like this, not letting the journalists have access to this, potentially put many, many more kids at risk. But some other things I want to talk about this story is I kind of feel like, I talked about Safe Sport and I feel like they were kind of thrown under the bus with this but they did their jobs. They suspended him from contact. They informed the local police department. The local police department did their job and that they investigated, but they didn't have anybody that was willing to file charges at the time. The minors in the case weren't. I would like CPS, like Child Protective Services, to be able to file charges on behalf of victims. But if they're not even willing to make a statement, then it's like, but in the end, the local police did raid Gardner's home and found all the materials they needed to find out what he was doing. And now they're going to be able to track down more victims. I want to talk about the letter that came from Chow's that was published or sent out to Chow's gymnasts and then published by HWO 13 News in Iowa. And I think they went through the exact timeline of when things happened. And it sounds like they did what they were probably legally able to do. We'll link to this letter in the show notes so you can look at it. Chow's doesn't say we informed all of the students and parents here that our coach was under investigation. That's the one thing that's not there. But what it does do is it talks about how they changed their policies in September 2024. And I feel like this is huge what they did. Chow's Gymnastics further strengthened its athlete protection policies, requiring at least one parent per athlete to complete Safe Sports Parents Guide to Misconduct in Sports course. Every athlete has to complete their age-appropriate Safe Sport course, which there are several. And then all parents, athletes, and coaches and staff sign acknowledgments confirming they understand that Chow's will comply with these policies, with the protection policies and Safe Sport requirements. I think that's really good that they did that. If this happened, you as athletes and you as parents also have to know about this and what grooming behavior is and what the rules are. We can't do it just by ourselves. If your kid's at home texting with the coach and we don't know about that, but you see it, then you know this is grooming and this is wrong. It's not okay for them to have back and forth one-on-one contact. And again, I don't want to let any of these gyms off the hook because this is the whole problem. This is why Safe Sport was created, right? This coach hopped from Louisiana to Mississippi to Iowa. And then after he got fired from Chow's, he went on to work at a hospital. Talk about vulnerable populations. This is a systematic problem with child protection and people protection in the United States. Safe Sport did everything they could have done. Also, when they had a report, but they didn't have any further proof, they could have had it if the police had acted at the time, but then the police were handcuffed. So it shouldn't take all these organizations to finally stop this, but at least we have the police finally did the raid. The FBI are involved now because of the CP, and this goes across state lines. And also because Finley came forward, and she should be so proud of herself. And these kind of stories frustrate me because I wish there was one system that took care of this. If you think about it, you can't just start a school and be like, this is a school. I'm coaching now. You have to go through a licensing process. It's regulated. But we don't have that for sports. Anybody can just open a gym and say they do these things. Chow's had policies in place, and maybe if they were able, they demoted this Sean Gardner when this happened, but he was still coaching. If you have enough money, you can just suspend them with pay from work, which is what I would like to see. But how many gyms have that money? That's the thing. Spencer, what are your thoughts on this?
I think the ultimately the frustration is, why are people still able to gym hop like that after things come forward? Like, why that we've heard so many things of like, now we have a public banned list and a public suspended list, and this is supposed to stop that, or Safe Sport is supposed to stop it, but it's still happening.
Yep, exactly. And we don't know. Maybe the other two gyms had no idea this was happening, and that's why. But yeah, it's alarming. And so I would encourage parents and a gymnast to do your Safe Sport courses. I see this, I'm on a wrestling group Facebook page, and this happens in every sport. I just see it the most in the sports that I'm following. But there's a reckoning in women's wrestling right now, and there's so many parents are like horrified. How is this happening? There's abusers in my kids' sports. Yeah, there's abusers everywhere. So, and there's some parents that get on there and are like, hey, how do you guys not know about this? You should have done the Safe Sport course. It's great. I love seeing other parents telling parents to do their homework, protect your kid, because people are going to be out there that want to abuse them. And you need to arm your kid and yourself with the knowledge to prevent this, because there isn't one overarching body that's going to do it for you. You have to be proactive. Okay. We have some more news coming up about Australian gymnastics jail and Andrade. But before we get to that, we have an exciting update for you. For our Club Gym Nerd members who help us pay our bills all year long, and they get discounts on our merch, which we have shorts now, you guys. So if you ever wanted to be fully kitted out, as they say in the Brits, from head to toe, if you want a GymCastic hat, GymCastic shirt, GymCastic shorts, we have it all, and a mug, and your tapestry, of course, behind you. Your tapestry, which is also a banner. Or wrap it around you.
Your comfort tapestry, yeah.
Yes. You can do that now in the store, and you get first dibs on live show tickets and a discount on live show tickets. You can even do that for the Morgan Herd live show. But our amazing COO, fact checker, producer, photographer, and in case you didn't know, can also code, one Steve Cooper, co-author of My Year's Coaching Simone Biles with Amy Borman. Also author.
The Balance, which is the name of
the book. Balance. Yes, that was the subtitle. He made a game because you guys love this game so much from the Morgan Herd live show and watching Morgan and Alona Shenikova play it together that he made it for you. So we're going to demonstrate this for you guys. We did it on behind the scenes on Friday, and now we're going to demo it for you. This will be available for club members because we want to always work to give you guys more to thank you guys for supporting us. So Spencer, are you going first or am I going first?
What does that mean? What do you want? Just tell me what you want me to do. What does going mean?
You guess first.
Okay, ready? I'm closing my eyes.
Yeah, so if you're
that's what you okay.
Okay, so you close your eyes. So basically this is a guessing game. We're putting it on medium, which is gonna be hard. And we're
just so you know, medium is hard.
So one person gets the clue and the other person has to guess. So there's levels and there's events and there's movies and world champions. Okay, ready, start. This is gonna be too hard. We should do movies. Do we already do movies? Okay, ready? Here we go. Oh god. Okay. Bars 1996 champion.
Porkina? Wait, who won bars in 96?
I know. I don't know what to give clues. Pass. It's too hard. Okay. Oh no, pass. Okay, she is my favorite protester. Buffont.
Cheslavska?
Yes. Okay, pass.
There's a lot of passes.
Okay.
Happening.
Oh, okay. Romanian did an accidental porn shoot in Japan. And
Milosevic?
Yes. Okay. The next one that was correct. Okay. Oh, there used to be a thing on GGMB that I thought was named after her.
Gina Gojan.
Yes. Okay. Next one is. Oh, this is the name of the president of the last name effigy. Yes, Watanabe. Woo! Oh, we did amazing.
We call that amazing?
Yes, that was amazing.
Okay.
It hadn't. Okay. All right. So you got 3 passes, score of 4. That was good. Okay.
We can do better.
Yeah, we can. All right. So do you want to do you want me to guess? Should we do one?
Sure.
Okay. I'm holding my phone up in front of my face so I can't see. Because I have my
that'll definitely work. Okay, part of the trident. Floor didn't do bars.
Memel. Alicia. Sacramone.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, God. Bars champion 2022. You're not going to get this. Pass. Oh, no. Pass. Oh, you might get it. She had cool skills. Okay. 1988 Olympic all-around champion. Soviet.
Oh, Buganskaya.
No. You're one of your favorites. Short hair.
Oh, Silovash.
Nope. Skills named after herself. What?
Lily.
On bars. Straddle to front support is named after her.
Straddle to front support?
Yeah, like straddle jump to your hands on floor.
Oh, Shushnova.
There you go. Okay, you just named her Russian 1988.
Oh, Bogatskaya.
All right, that was pretty bad.
This is just you have 30 seconds left or whatever, 5 seconds left sound.
We had more. Sorry, I thought the song was "It's Over."
The song is your warning. So you guys, there's events. So there's a beam category, which is the most important. So I'm going to mention it first. There's floor. There's world champions, which is really hard. And then there's.
I saw Wei Xiaoyan, and I was like, I don't know how to give this. Irina Krasnianska. I was like, this is going to take too long. But I should have passed on Shushanova, even though I was like, Shushanova, come on, we can get this.
We'll have eponymous skills category, movies category.
Okay.
The eponymous skills is a good one. And like I'm trying to go through and rate these as like easy and difficult. And easy, the ones that are easier, like the ones that we commonly talk about. And the difficult ones are like, oh, that person has a skill. Like I was like, Betty Aquino has a bar skill. So I always forget about that. So anyway.
And just in case you're into eponymous skills, I just put an eponymous skills timeline for floor in the clickable code of points. That's new on the balance beam situation, in case you are interested in that.
Oh my God, I love that so much.
Including all the ones, like not just the ones that are currently there, like the ones they took away from people over the years. So it should be more complete than just what's in the code now.
Because there's so many fun things.
I know.
Not in the code.
We should do a weekly segment now leading up to Worlds.
Yes.
Where I'm like, here's something I found when I was doing this that I forgot about, like the Platerati on floor, which is a great leap that they got rid of, and more people should do it.
The other thing we should do is we should go back to the old code, which it wasn't that long ago, 2008, 4, 2000? Well, that was like 25 years ago. The old men's code that had dance in it. Because the men are like, what do we do now? Well, it was all in the code. So just, you know who has all of that? Uncle Tim. At gymnastics-history, which we .com, which we link to in all the show notes. So another thing I want to talk to you guys about is we talked about this at length on Behind the Scenes, and we went into everything, but we are going to increase our club price by $1. Not a lot, because we're doing this because our prices have increased for all of our software, our subscriptions that we need to do the show. All the price has increased, but we haven't increased the price on you guys because we try to not do that, but we haven't done a price increase since the pandemic. And this will help us pay for by the end of the year for half of our Worlds trip, which is really helpful for us. So it's not going to go up by much, just by $1, but it's going to start in September. So if you want to increase your level now from bronze member to world champion member, now is the time to do it before that goes. So September 1st, that $1 increase is going to start. And so thank you guys for all of your support. And we asked,
or lock in a yearly subscription now, just, thinking strategically.
Exactly. Lock it in. We asked on Behind the Scenes, what did you guys think of this? Is this okay? And overwhelmingly, we got a positive response. Yes, you guys could charge way more for the amount of content you put out. 3 podcasts a week during college season and all the stuff you guys do from the competition. So thanks you guys so much for your support. And if you haven't got your tickets to the Morgan Hurd live show, that is available, and we have a little teaser of it that I will
replay tickets, just in case. It did already happen, but you can buy a ticket to watch the replay of it.
I'm going to put in the show notes and on our YouTube channel, there is a little teaser video where we show some of the game that happens, some of the questions, so you guys can get an idea. We've never put one of these out before. What are GymCastic live shows like? There's a lot of yelling and laughing. That's what they're like. So you can check that out, but it'll also really help us fund our World trip if you guys buy a replay ticket to that. Okay, so we'll play that at the end of this episode so you guys can get a little teaser. All right, back to the headlines.
Okay, tell me, lay it on me. What's going on?
Okay, Australian gymnastics jail.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
One of our favorite topics.
Could you give our listeners who aren't familiar with this the history
Yeah.
of the phrase?
This is coined by origin of the term coined by Jessica O'Byrne in 2013 to describe that time that Australia didn't send any women to Worlds, even though they had a new senior named Georgia Godwin who was bursting onto the scene and we were really excited to see at the World Championships, or Emma Nedov, or Mez Monkton, or Olivia Vivian. And there were all these people we were excited to see at Worlds. Australia said, oh, actually, who are we going to send? Who's going to make the team? No one. We're going to send no one because they didn't meet the required score, which was super high and based on the previous Olympics, and was in my view, an unrealistic expectation for anyone to get to be worthy to send to Worlds. So they just didn't send anyone, which we've been grumpy about for, 3 to 7 quads.
Yeah. Never forget.
like that time Mai Murakami was not on Japan's Worlds team. We don't forget these things and we don't forgive them.
That's right.
This year, the Australian team for Worlds, I'm going to say it's not an Australian gymnastics jail situation, but they are not using the full allotment of spots.
It's not.
Well, they're sending people.
All right, they're sending people. It's
Australia's women's team
prison release program.
They could send up to 4 women, and they selected 3. They can send up to 6 men. They selected 5. So they're not using all of the spots. So that's why it's kind of an Australian gymnastics jail, but they are sending people. Their best gymnasts are not being left home. So it's not that situation.
Yeah. So the arguments for and against doing this. Which side would you like to take? You know which side I'd obviously like to take.
Yeah, take the side you would like, because I feel comfortable with both.
So my argument for this is,
pro Australian gymnastics jail?
No, it's anti-Australian gymnastics jail. So mine is pro whenever you have the opportunity to give athletes experience on the biggest stage in gymnastics, which is the biggest stage I don't have a problem with. But burst onto the scene always reminds me of Aliens and the chest bursters.
You don't love. We've been through this before, and I'm not going to learn. So
okay, it's fine. I just want to register my objection to the term, but you may continue.
Your objection has been noted, and it has been put in the filing cabinet in the corner that has blades.
Right, I understand. You may continue autonomously as you do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So anywho, I feel like it doesn't matter if someone can get into a final or win a medal, which Australia is one of the countries, like many countries, that have this system of like own the podium or whatever it's called in a different country, which is like their funding is based on results. And because it's an individual world, they're going to just send people who can make a final or can win a medal. And to me, I'm like, that's such a waste of experience. And also, this is so cheap. It's right next to you. And by right next to you, I mean, it's only an 8-hour flight away from Australia.
When it comes to Australians having to travel to other countries, they will take this because it's not like 7 days.
It's right, exactly. And it's not 100 time zones away from you.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's such a waste of the resources you've put into developing athletes as a country, because they are a funded government system country, to not let people go and get experience. And so I just feel like it's such a shame. And I understand there's sending people for certain events and they have to own the podium, and it's probably a compromise between, well, we want the funding, and if we use too much of our funding, then we're wasting and we don't have the results, and then it hurts us the next time. But I disagree with that fundamentally, because you invest in people to give them experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think what I will say about this case as different from 2013 is if we look at the women's team, where they're sending Brianna Scott, Ruby Pass, and Kate McDonald, who are the top 3 gymnasts by far in Australia right now. And I think, given the format of Worlds, where you have, for the women's, it's 4 people could be on a squad, 3 people maximum 3 can compete on any individual event. I think if you look at what happened at Australia's nationals, like Brianna Scott and Ruby Pass absolutely earned the opportunity to do the all-around at Worlds. They were far and away the top all-arounders. So that's 2 spots in every event right there. Kate McDonald is excellent on 3 events.
Right.
bars, beam, and floor. She does now compete vault. She hadn't in a while, and it was the best part of university games when she was like, what if I did the all around and got vaults for the team score? So I'm just going to do a handspring repulsion, the simplest vault in the code of points that you can get a score for. And she did it, and it was great. She was laughing, and her teammates were laughing, and it was awesome. But if those athletes earned their spots, 2 for the all around, and definitely Kate McDonald for bars, beam, and floor. So you would only have 1 spot available for a vault specialist. And at nationals this year, Summer Hill did do 2 vaults. She was the only senior who did 2 vaults. Her more difficult one was a Yurchenko fall. And then she did something, I don't know what her second vault was, but it was lower difficulty than that. So you have an argument that, you should have used that spot for Summer Hill because she's a brand new senior. She did 2 vaults. I think that's a very fair argument, but it's also, that's not really, she's not going to make a final on vault. So, and it would just be bringing for 1 event. Other than that, you would be bringing a 4th member of the team just to Brenna Dowell them. Like that time, the U.S. women took 4 to an individual worlds, and Brenna Dowell was one of the 4. And then everyone else, the other 3 competed the all around. And they would, if they brought a 4th team member just to Brenna them, they would get 10 times more shit than they're getting right now for this. So I understand that, but there are also things that very much frustrate me. Like, why do we not get to see Marcus Casamento's floor routine at the World Championships? They have 2 all-arounders set, and Clay Mason Stevens is provisionally on the men's team. I think he still had an asterisk next to his name in the announcement to do floor, so there are your 3 on floor. But I'm like, first priority should be Marcus Casamento's floor routine. And you have an open spot.
I want to emphasize that you can only put 3 people up on each event, period. It's not 3 people. It's not 3 scores because there's no team. It's not 3, but there's a 4th person. Their score doesn't count. No. It's only 3. So that is the thing. Like, if you brought someone, we'll bring another all-arounder. Yeah, but that other all-arounder is only going to be able to do vault for the women.
So obviously, I think that's a big part of it. But I also agree that you should, if you have any opportunity to use all the spots, you should use all the spots. Because who knows how people are going to be, develop as athletes, improve based on that experience. You also don't want people to, quit because they feel like, well, if I can do the best I can do and you're not even going to take anyone to Worlds, so why would I even bother? And you don't then cultivate depth and cultivate a program if people keep retiring because, you don't even respect the work I'm putting in because you're not even sending me to competitions, even though I'm good enough for it. That's what you don't want to create.
And I just feel like I would just like to make it known that I am very upset for the men that they are not using all their spots too, even though this world is a total sausage fest, and I'm already disgusted that the men get to use 6 spots and the women only get to bring 4. That's so stupid. It makes me so mad. The women should get extra spots to match the men's. That's the only way to make it fair, because the men have more apparatus, then give the women more opportunities to win medals. But I feel so bad for them because it is like so hard in these systems where it's like you do the best and you might be the best vaulter in the country, but they're not going to take you because they're just like, well, you only have a chance on that one and you're the best we have, but your score, we don't think will get into a final. And also it's an individual world, and it's world. You never know what's going to happen. Everyone could fall on beam in prelims. Everyone could fall on vault. Like, please don't let that happen, but you never know what's going to happen. So I also feel like this is a terrible idea because they're hosting the Olympics in 2032, which is the next Olympics after the upcoming Olympics. It's LA, then Brisbane, right?
Whoa. 2032 is not a real year.
I know,
that's when science fiction things are set. That's not a real year.
That's when the robots will compete alongside of us.
Finally.
Us, I say. Okay, on.
Well, if it's robots, you can replace all those limbs with robot limbs, and then you're right back in it.
That's right.
Olympic gold medalist.
Bummer thing to report is that Andrade is, according to Metropolis in Brazil, she is not going to participate in Worlds because she is taking a physical and mental rest, like recovery time, which is great because I don't know if you know, but she is the queen, president, high priestess of Brazil. Mm-hmm. So she has a lot of duties. She has to show up to all the things.
Yeah, it's a busy schedule. Yeah,
right. I understand.
Being an actual deity is a lot of work, you guys.
So really everybody
wants something from you. Yeah.
you're trying to relax and then someone's doing their prayers before bedtime and suddenly you're summoned again.
Yeah,
It's
it's so hard.
I don't know how Beyonce does it. But she has done this before, gone straight from an Olympics to a World, and it was when they were only 3 months apart, 2 months apart. So she knows what it takes to do this. She did it in Kitakyushu. So I think I'm glad. I hope that we get many, 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 many more years of Andrade by her taking a rest now.
Yeah. I mean, that does indicate if you're saying I'm taking a rest, you're rested up for something.
Yes.
So that's that part of it is exciting.
Gymternet news. So, the college coaches. You guys, this is Spencer's favorite thing that's ever happened.
I love when the college coaches make their little rules because they got to be in their bonnet about something.
So it's the college coaches versus Utah, where the college coaches, which is like an association that makes rules for gymnastics, they have decided that 30 miles away from your school is not a neutral site. This is a rule proposal. It has been proposed.
Basically, what they're saying is we got the proposals, and what they're saying, the background here is that during the college season, several teams, of which Utah does it the most, will organize events at neutral sites that are not where they typically have their home meets, but are local. They're right there. And those count as away meets for the purposes of your national qualifying score, where you have to count at least 3 away meets. And those count as an away meet, even though they're like down the street from your arena. And people, including me, have long said, that's a home meet because you're at home. If you're the host institution for an event, if they're your home fans and you didn't have to travel, that's a home meet and it should be a home score. So basically what the proposal is, which is its own issue, you can only do it once and count it as an away meet. And then if you have that neutral site within 30 miles again, a second time or more, it has to count as a home meet. Basically, the other schools felt that teams, Utah in particular, but not alone, was gaming the system by stuffing their schedule with fake road meets that were nearby, and then always also hosting the conference championship. And then, in the view of some coaches who might be direct competitors of the University of Utah, receiving fake home scores that allowed them to win all of the conference championships, even though the gymnastics did not merit it, would be their sentiment. Utah would say, then be as good and like have the resources that we do. Yeah. If you feel so jealous of us, we can't help it that you're so jealous of us, would basically be Utah's response to that.
Yeah, be better then. I do want to acknowledge, like, one of the things about the location where Utah has their non-away home meets that's just 30 miles away is an arena where the arena invested long-term in buying a podium. And having a meet on a podium is preferable in a lot of ways for the longevity of your body compared to competing on concrete or a basketball floor. But, it can be wigglier, but it's one of those things that like they thought they were, making a long-term investment having meets here. And now everyone else is like, that's totally a home meet. 30 miles? Are you kidding me?
Right. I mean, and part of it is no one's saying you can't have as many meets there as you want. You can have all the meets you've scheduled there. Just if you're going to do that, that's a home meet.
Yeah.
If you do it more than once. So, very interesting. Utah feels targeted by this because I think
they are.
They are, because they are literally, like, I mean, yes. It's like, this law against littering is unfairly targeting me just because I litter a lot. It's like, yeah, that's what it's for. That's why they made the rule. But I think that, Greg Marston's big mad about this, and I read his thoughts on it that he wrote, and I'm like, I don't agree with the general idea because I do think those are home meets. I don't think you can count that as an away meet, but he points out hypocrisies and inconsistencies that are very convincing aspects of the argument, because I would say this proposal has a lot of inconsistencies. First of all, my big thing about it is, why is it okay to do it once? Like, if you've decided that this is actually a home meet and it's a home meet, or you're saying, no, it's fine that you're counting them as away meets, it doesn't start to be a home meet the second time you do it. So that doesn't make any sense. And that's why it feels like, because there are other schools that do this once. Like LSU has a podium meet every year that's like hop, skip, and a jump away from campus. And so basically you're saying, well, Utah will feel like, oh, you're saying it's fine when LSU does it because they only do it once, but it's not okay when Utah does it because they do it more than once. Like that's where you see some of the inconsistencies. Also, why 30 miles? Because so, for example, the University of Alabama can have a podium meet in Birmingham, Alabama, that is part of this because that's more than 30 miles, but that's still it's a University of Alabama meet. Like they're getting all the benefits of a home meet. It's just slightly farther away than 30 miles. So I think that's also a convincing counter argument to this rule, which is like, well, where'd you come up with 30 miles?
Yeah.
And why does it apply to certain schools and not others whose neutral venue is like 31 miles away or whatever?
And I think it's also, I think that he did a great job in creating a brief by which they can
good points.
Good points. So now they can tailor it.
Points for argument. Points for argumentation. Yeah.
Like they need to add in that unless it's at another school. Like if they increase the mileage on it, it's like Stanford and Berkeley are only
close, right?
50 miles away from each other. So it's like what do you do when there's two schools basically in the same city? And the East Coast, everything's so squishy and close together.
Everything's so squishy.
It's so squishy over there. You could drive through 5 states in a day. So yeah, I love this because it's, the drama.
Yeah. It's basically, let's be honest. Other coaches were like, we're mad at Utah and we're going to make this rule. That is what happened. It's just, I happen to agree that those are home meets. So,
and Utah also got around the home meet, away meet scoring what counts for your RQS. Did I put the letters in the right order? Your regional qualifying score. I did.
But it hasn't been called an RQS in 10 years.
But anywho, they got around it by, getting a place that's really close by to host the meets for them. So, it's not code whoring, it's rule hacking.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. I think this is a good change. It's just like kind of inconsistently written in a way that's very open for picking apart.
Yeah. But now they have the brief from Marsden, so they can
like how to change it
perfectly
to appropriately target Utah.
Exactly.
This is how you should change it to correctly target Utah.
A follow-up from behind the scenes on Friday. So we had a question and someone was like, wait, people are saying that Nadia's perfect 10 wasn't the first perfect 10. And we were like, yeah, it wasn't the first perfect 10. There was a rope climbing perfect 10, but that was before things were standardized and there wasn't actually a 10 for gymnastics. But of course, Spencer said, wait, didn't Uncle Tim at gymnastics-history.com, our PhD in gymnastics history, he doesn't actually have a PhD in gymnastics history. It's like Spanish literature or something nuts. But something that makes you good at critical thinking is what a Spanish literature degree does. But anyway, yeah, he did find it, and it was a guy on vault. A man on vault is the first Olympic perfect 10. So we'll have a link to that article so you guys can check it out. And of course, Uncle Tim, if you want to know the real facts that have been vetted by a PhD, this is why we go to gymnastics-history.com. In exciting news, Jade Carey has a new student coaching job at Oregon State, like Leanne Wong has at Florida. Yay, sticking around. In the Never Say Never news, there was an article that came out during championships that Scott Bregman did with Simone, and she was like, I will decide when I'm done. No one's going to decide for me. And then she went to Australia, which if you're not following her, she's doing lots of posts about her travels, which she did say, vacation for the rest of my life after Paris, and this is the content I'm living for. She went to Australia and she said about LA 2028, never say never. That's a quote.
I'll take it.
Yes.
I'll take never say never.
Yes. I'm just waiting for them to find a way for her to just do the event, the mixed pairs event.
Yeah.
Which
puts submission to the IOC.
Yes, which Kensley is reporting that the U.S. is going to have a mixed pairs next year, which I think is a very good idea because this will be in the Olympics, so we should start practicing for this.
A mixed team competition.
Mixed team competition, which I'm calling mixed pairs. because it's a pair of gymnasts who compete.
Oh, no, I'm fine with that. I'm just saying,
yeah.
It's not going to be like at nationals they do that now. It's its own thing.
Yeah. John Carney, who was previously at Cal, is now the new assistant coach at Denver. Enjoy that altitude, buddy. Honestly, I was talking to someone from Denver and I was like, oh my God, you don't have to worry about cardio because you just sleep at night and you get more oxygen blood cells. So it's great for you. I am jealous of this. Also, I really am enjoying Emma Malevsky of Germany is now at Clemson. And she is posting kind of like day in the life things, but in German, which I really like because that's opening up the audience to a different audience. Like I would like all the international athletes to come here. I worry for them if they come here, but I would like more international athletes. I think it's one of the things that makes doing a college program so enriching as a human being is to be around people from different countries. And so I like that she's doing these and I'm enjoying them. And if you want to see a little bit of what her life like one of the things she's like, yeah, I'm driving to the gym because I could walk, but it would take me 45 minutes and you have to have a car to drive anywhere here. And I was like, welcome to America. And
how soon have you decided you want to go back to Germany?
99% of the places in the United States you have to walk to, or you have to have a car because you can't walk. In case you missed it, U.S. Championships are being held in Phoenix next year because they are trying to host them in the hottest places in the United States every single year. So if you're in Arizona, or you like dry heat.
And just thinking about that, if you're Emma Malevsky, does training get to count as an away meet? Because she would have to walk 45 minutes.
I mean, she was like, it's like a 5-minute drive, but okay. Also, we have some dumpster fire news. So we have some delayed justice. The man accused of killing Kara Welsh, the University of Wisconsin whitewater gymnast. He's had his trial date pushed back to June 9th, 2026. It was supposed to begin in December. I mean, I feel like this is probably going to happen a lot right now, even though this is a criminal court. There's a lot going on in the courts. Justice rendered, on the other hand, Adam Richard Jacobs, 35. Remember him from USA Gymnastics World in Utah, who had the hidden cameras in hotel and bathrooms in the gym. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison and a lifetime term of supervised release for child exploitation crimes. So, oh my God, we're not going to get my favorite haircut yeller at Worlds. Kazuma Kaya of Japan. He ruptured his Achilles and he's already had surgery, so he's out of Worlds. Oh my God. What are we going to do without him screaming and his bowl haircut? I don't even know how to function now. Oh. Okay. We had big meets this week. Big meets? Yeah, there were big meets this week and this month. So first, let's talk about junior Pan Ams. We don't usually talk a lot about juniors, but there were some.
It was the thing that was going on.
Yes.
And I tried to watch it, and then the stream did not super cooperate, I'm going to say.
Which thank you to all the people who put this on YouTube afterwards so I could watch.
Yeah, because I was like, I am halfway through this part of the competition and I'm giving up because the stream is not cooperating. But Junior Pan Am Games, U.S. women's team won gold. That was Lavi Crane, Charlie Bullock, Kylie Smith, and Addie Van Grinsven were the 4 women on the U.S. junior team. They won team gold. Charlie Bullock won all around, bars, beam, and floor, and Addie Van Grinsven won vault gold. We did have a moment that we talked about on behind the scenes with a vault 0, so we had to dissect that, and and Jessica telling her history of going when maybe she wasn't supposed to yet on vault because she has personal experience of such a thing.
Yeah. So we debated all the things that could have happened with Kylie Smith's vault. And basically she did her first vault and then she went to go to her second vault. And you can see the light behind her, the weight light is still yellow. And this is where we debated all the things that could have happened because the name is green, but the light has the yellow, green, red. So you know when you're not supposed to go. But if you can't see colors like Spencer, none of that matters. You have to be able to see the word. But if you have terrible eyesight like me, words don't matter.
There's a whole mess. It's
the colors. So we debated what could have happened. And in the end, she got a 0 for that vault, but it's, this is kind of one of the fun things about junior meets is you tend to see things like this happen, that it's not fun for them, but
No.
well, she was laughing about it. Like, so
Yeah.
on the vault runway walking back, she's like, I guess I'm going again. But yeah, it's, one of those things that we take for granted how easily people move through the space of competition, except Simone, who's always going the wrong way or being attacked by bees. And keeps us laughing the whole time. I want to ask this question.
Okay.
And
your pause in the middle of the question made me nervous, but I'm ready.
Okay. So I don't want to speculate on anyone's injuries or what happened or, what's going on. There's the severity or their personal choices, their doctor's advice, anything like that. So Lavi Crane didn't compete all around on both days. None of the junior athletes who were going to Junior Pan Ams were expected to do that, but she was held out of 2 events on the first day unexpectedly. She was going to do all 3 or 4. And I talked to her coach about it, who said, yeah, just a precaution. She has this meet. We're just going to be careful. But then the same thing happened again then when she was at Pan Am Games. She competed on vault, but then was held out from other events. So my question, and again, without speculating on severity or whatever is going on with her injury, when is it okay to keep an injured athlete on a team and when is it not okay? And taking into consideration the following things: age of consent, parental consent, and the fitness of alternates.
Well, that is an impossible question to answer. But I legitimately, because it has to be situation specific. It can't. I don't think you can have a hard and fast rule because competing on a foot injury is different than competing with a head injury. First of all, in terms of what damage you might be doing to yourself, and it matters what the needs of the team are. So in this case, Lavi Crane competed did vault and bars in the team day, the first day, made the vault final, fell on her Yurchenko double full in the vault final, but then was originally slated to do beam in the team day scratch beam. So did some events, ultimately competed a Yurchenko double full that was the highest individual vault score for the US team. So I think there's a fair argument to be made that, even limited, you were contributing to the team and able to contribute a score to the team. I think, I don't have this should be a hard and fast rule because there are so many situations like the last Olympics, Jade Carey, she was too sick to do a floor routine or not well enough again to have the endurance to do a floor routine at the end. But vault went well. So there was someone who is in a sickness/injury area who, you kept them on the team and they delivered on vault. So I think it's too dependent on also the circumstances of the meet. This was not a meet where there was a traveling alternate. They only had a non-traveling alternate who wasn't there with them. And I think that also changes the situation. Ideally, in any team event context, everyone should know everything about your injuries because you're not just making a decision about competing for yourself. You are making your decision to still compete while you might not be 100% affects the other members of the team and their chances to win a team medal. So should that be a rule that you have to, or is that just, it's a considerate thing to do to be forthcoming? I'm waffling around a number of different thoughts that I have on the issue, but that's generally, I don't think you absolutely need to be taken off a team if you have any injury, because if you did, there would be no gymnasts on any team ever.
Right. There's that.
So it's too situation specific.
My thought process on this is evolving over the years, and part of me thinks, I'm trying to think about this the way I think about safe sport and regulation, and I'm like, okay, can you imagine a situation, which many people have probably experienced this, if you were in class in school, any regular public school, private school, it's regulated, right? And you have, I mean, depends. And you have, your hand is broken. And it's clearly broken. It's mangled. It's not in place. It's, and you can see it's an obvious injury, right? And you come in from recess and your teacher's like, I don't care. We're doing our state exams today. This counts for our funding and how much we get and what the school needs. And you have to take your test because we need you to take your test. Even if your hand is broken, you have to stay here and do it. That teacher would be sued into next week.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the state. And that would be considered like child abuse. And we don't consider it that when it is, and I'm not saying in this case someone was holding a gun to anyone's head.
Yeah.
Right. I'm saying in general, like, I don't think that's going on, especially like, Betty Aquino, who was our resident hippie flower child, like love and peace and take care of yourself, Trident member now. But I'm like, wait, why don't we think of sports the same way? Especially when it's kids. When it's adults and they have their own agency.
I think it does change when it's a junior. Yeah, it's a junior.
Yeah, when it's a junior, I'm like, and then is there consultation with parents happening at the moment? And is there, the trainer talking to the parents and saying, here's what's happening, consulting with the doctor? I really have been like changing my thoughts about this because I'm like, why don't I think of this the same way? Well, because it's sports and like you're always going to have a little bit of an injury, but it's a difference when there's like so many athletes that have like the osteochondritis dissecans, I think it is, where you have no cartilage anymore. And like nothing replaces that. Like you can't, I mean, I'm sure you can like fly to some other country and just get it stem celled in now, but who can afford that? Right now in the United States, you cannot get that fixed. So it's like a long-term, the rest of your life thing, and it comes from overuse. So when it's those kinds of things, I just feel like it is not okay to ask children to do that. Period.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm just like, then I think of all the Olympics and like the heroic moments that I'm like, oh, Chelsea.
Right. I mean, that is the thing where we've talked about, you can point to the Carrie Strug moment of like us talking about, oh, should, maybe someone should have checked on her rather than being like, obviously you're going to vault again. Whereas anytime I make that argument, Scott Bregman is like, think about a top athlete. You are not going to say, like, give Carrie Strug the option to vault again and say, it's up to you. Do you want to vault again? She's going to say, yes, I want to vault again. It's the Olympics. I want to win an Olympic medal. Here we go.
Right.
And so.
And she was an adult, so it's different.
And she's an adult, so it's different. And yeah, like Simone's crawling back down the vault runway. She obviously isn't 100%, but she's making the decision of like, I know what I'm doing. I want to win this sports competition, and I'm going to do this. And everyone's like, hooray for pushing through Simone.
Right.
Because she's making that call. But it's different when I totally understand that it's different when it's a junior.
What I'm saying is I don't have an answer, but I think we need to start thinking, why do I consider this child in this situation different than this child in this situation? There's still a human child who deserves the right to grow up free of preventable long-term injuries. Like, you're going to have injuries, stuff's going to happen. But when it's like, oh, you're, whatever, your shoulder hurts and then it's always hurting. And now it's pushing through and pushing through and pushing through. And now you have a permanent injury literally for life. That's when I'm like, no, we need to stop. So just putting
Do you think that if you are a junior, do you think that your desire to say, oh no, I can do this, I want to push through, should be taken into account, or it's you are too young to be able to make that decision for yourself?
No, when I was 14 or 16, I would have been like, fuck you, I'm going to do what I want. It doesn't matter.
That's the crux of the question.
Right. Yeah, I would have been so pissed. But I also think that I don't think this decision should be left up to parents either, because parents are not medical professionals who are qualified to make these, because so many parents would be like, this is how you grow up to be tough and survive an apocalypse. This is why I want you to do sports. We are creating a warrior for a reason. And yeah.
But if then we get back to this conversation, this conversation goes back around to, if you say, okay, the decision should only be a physical trainer's decision, a doctor's decision, then it leads to a situation where athletes and coaches are intentionally concealing injuries or not seeing a doctor so that they don't get pulled from the competition, which you also don't want to create a situation where you're encouraging people to not seek medical attention because they don't want to get pulled from the meet.
Right. And I
which
think
we
that
talked
goes
about
back
with Asher Hong's interview at U.S. Nationals.
right when he told us he had a concussion and that he hit it because of course he's going to, and he's also an adult. But that is an occasion where that's should be taken always out of the athlete's hand. One, because it's your brain, and two, because personality change and decision making are some of the things that are affected by concussion. And what I'm saying, he gave everything he said he didn't say I have a concussion. He said all of the things that are symptoms of a concussion that should have caused a concussion protocol to be invoked. But I think now I forgot my point about what I was going to say about this. Yeah, you're always going to have people afraid to tell their trainer, afraid to tell a doctor. And I think that's where it comes to trust, like long-term trust with your medical professionals. This is why it's so great. You have a different relationship with like a trainer on your like college team who's there every day, every practice, than you do with someone that you only see, once a month, maybe at training camps. And also this comes down to education. So this is like a conversation with the coaches and the athlete and the parents and saying like, this is why that we're not doing this to punish you. We're doing this because you want to not have to you want to be able to use your, ankle and not have an ankle replacement when you're 18, then, or not have pain for the rest of your life, not be addicted to painkillers, not all of the stuff that are the potential outcomes. But then even when that happens, like we see in Shannon Miller's book, if she went to a bunch of doctors who were like, you're going to die on vault if you're going to have a catastrophic injury because your wrist is so bad. And she does have a permanent injury. She to this day cannot put her wrist flat. You'll see her do handstands and she does them like on her palms kind of. But to her, she was like, no, this is the wrong doctor. And her mom was like, yeah, okay, you're going to work it out. But also, yeah, so putting it out there for food for thought.
Yeah, and so to get back to the question, that's kind of why I feel like you can't have a hard and fast, like, when is it okay or when is it not okay to have an injured athlete on the team, because there's so many different moving parts to each individual situation.
For me, it comes down to, are they a minor or not?
Yeah.
And then what's the severity?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Unless it's a head injury, and then I want to talk about Rhythmic Worlds were in Brazil, which was huge for Brazil. Big congrats to Brazil for hosting this. There were some firsts that were amazing. So Rin Keys of the US became the first ever US rhythmic gymnast to win a medal at World Championships. The first ever. Like I think of like all the milestones in rhythmic, and this is the first ever world medal. There's been a junior world medal, but never world championship. So big congratulations to her, silver. And then another big one, Anais Osonon is the first gymnast ever to compete for Ivory Coast. And the photos that the FIG put out of her are so stunning, so beautiful. The leotard they chose for her, the ball color they chose for her, it's like gold. It is so gorgeous. I'm loving her style, and it's a huge accomplishment for her to be here and compete. So I'm hoping we see much more diversity in rhythmic gymnastics. It's long been a pretty white sport, and that's changed over the years, and it's really nice to see more people competing. There was a little glitch.
At rhythmic?
Yeah. Well, there were two glitches.
Okay.
They played the wrong music for one of the champions, which is really bad. And she was shaking her head like, what the fuck?
What was which country and which country?
For Germany, and they played Georgia's national anthem.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel better about that, because that's like, I know how that happened. Those files were alphabetized, and you clicked the wrong one. It's not like it was a Ukrainian athlete and they played the Russian national anthem or something. That was okay. I feel better about like, I know exactly how that happened. Okay. You clicked the wrong file name when you were playing that anthem.
What do you do as an athlete? Because she just looked pissed, but she just stood there.
Yeah, look pissed.
Is it okay to be like,
throw a tantrum?
Nope. This is not my anthem. I'm just gonna step down.
You don't have to be like. You can be like, you're doing the wrong song. Hello.
Yeah. I would just be like, oh wait,
I probably wouldn't have. I would have just stood there and been like, you guys listen, and made an eyebrow face and been like,
I know. I probably would have too because I wouldn't have cared. But
you would have been like, wait, is this the national anthem?
I was like,
Am I wrong?
It? I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Did it?
I would immediately assume like I made a mistake.
Exactly.
I don't know my national anthem.
The other thing that happened, and this is a good thing. Like, I think people are looking like this, oh my God, rhythmic, it's a disaster. But I think this is a good thing. So the judges went to the supervisors and said, hey, that's not the score. What you just put up is not the score we entered. You have to change this. Even though the final score had already gone out, the placement was already out, and they were like, no, that's not what we put in. Because of the way the system works for rhythmic, they were able to track that the judges were right. They did not enter that score.
Mm-hmm.
There was a problem in the way that the computer system took it in. So the key tracking showed that they did input the scores correctly. The output was wrong. So for whatever it's worth, they did change it and they fixed it and they issued a letter explaining what happened.
Well, that's something.
And it's good that the judges spoke up and were like, no. But they didn't make a mistake. We would like judges to speak up when they're like, wait, I just realized that was wrong. Can we go back? I just saw the replay.
But we like them to speak up when they say, I judge right.
Yeah. So that happened. And you also, I want to remind you guys, Eurovision Sport, you can watch this without any password necessary for free in the United States, all the sports that they have, and Eurovision Sport has rhythmic worlds on. And there's always, so much fun things. Some cool things happened at World Games that I wanted to talk about. The first ever, I know I've been talking about World Games for like 3 weeks, but there's just so many cool things that happen because it's like all like acro and there's all these other sports. Like there's some kind of like tackle people baseball that the Nords play where you wear, it's like lacrosse, but baseball, and there's helmets, but you sort of want to hurt people, but also you throw
Jessica
a ball
was like, hurt
them.
people? I might be into the sport.
There's tackling?
There's fighting?
How did I not know? Anyway, there's lots of interesting sports there, but the first ever triple was competed by Tawfik Aliyev of Azerbaijan. A triple.
Mm.
The amount of power that he needs to complete that, he takes off so far away from the mat. So, in tumbling, you run like 1,000 feet. It's not that far, but 1,000, and you tumble down the whole length of like
and then you
run for a really long
jump.
time.
Yeah.
Some people jump off a board into their hurdle, and then sometimes you do like 2 flips in the middle, and then whip. This, he must cover, I don't know, that must be 20 feet of distance between where he takes off and where he lands. It's just massive. Imagine if like Andrade and Maloney and Simone had a vault baby, and that is what this looks like. It's so high, so far, a trip. So that's 3 flips, a full twist on every single flip. It's nuts. So big congrats to him. And also, this has been going around. I want to talk about it. The British men's quad and acro. So acro has like pairs, quads. There's a bunch of different ways you compete in acro. And artistry is a
4-member team.
4-member team. And it is a huge, artistry is so important to acro. And I feel like artistic gymnastics can learn a lot from it. And they did a Spider-Man routine. And this routine, you guys, they have Spider-Man outfits on. There's 3 evil Spider-Mans, and then the flyer is the blue and red Spider-Man. And it is like they start it by they throw him up in the air and he does a big Spider-Man pose. And it's just so fun, so cool. They end at one point, he's like hanging by one arm, like he's throwing a web from everybody. And there's all the acro stuff that's really cool too. But I just love the literalness of this. and how they interpreted it. And, the British are very good at their artistry. I can't wait for what the men's artistic gymnasts are going to do with their artistry, with Noosh in charge of them. So anyway,
whipping that flexibility into shape.
Exactly. She's like, put your foot behind your head. Okay, this is how we start. Now spin. Okay. So we'll put links to everything we're talking about in the show notes for you guys. We have a mini commission today, which is from world champion level Club Gym Nerd member Stacy Tavino, law professor at the University of Oklahoma. Club Gym Nerd members like Stacy help us pay our bills, and in return, you get thank you goodies like your discounts, your extra podcast every week. You get 3 podcasts during college season. You get discounts on merch and discounts on live shows, etc. And you get our special extended episode content from things like World Championships. Right after the competition ends, we go do interviews, get answers for you, and then we do a full podcast. And sometimes they're very long because we have a lot to discuss, and you get it immediately. And you can join us live and ask us questions. So, Professor Tavino Esquire asks.
It's just a technical question from a person who loves gymnastics, but from afar and without a lot of inside knowledge. I was watching a broadcast of the recent 2025 US Classic and heard them announce the gymnasts and their clubs, for example, Claire Peace Woga, before the gymnasts went up on their events. When Jocelyn was up on her events, they said she represented the University of Arkansas. My question is this: when do elite gymnasts represent their club, for example, Jordan Childs World Champion Center, and when are they representing their university, for example, Jordan Childs UCLA? I know when they are competing in an NCAA competition, they are obviously representing their university, but I didn't know an elite gymnast, e.g. Jocelyn, could be coached by / represent a university, the University of Arkansas, during an elite competition. Stated slightly differently, I didn't know a university-employed coach could coach an athlete in an elite, non-university competition. If that's what's happening, thank you in advance.
Yeah, so they can. This is very common in other sports. Track and field, we see this a lot. In wrestling, we see this a lot. And in gymnastics, this goes back to the 80s of college coaches coaching their elite athletes. And we had this even to back in the 2000s, 2004 Olympics. We had college coaches coaching athletes at the Olympics. So in the US and abroad. So yeah, basically, it's whoever the gymnast puts down on their USA Gymnastics membership as their coach or their gym, that's who they're coaching. So, like, Jordan Childs can go to UCLA, be on the team, then for elite season, go back to World Champion Center. And then when she competes, then her coaches would be World Champion Center. You can have anybody. It's whoever you want to put down. And yeah, university coaches are allowed to do this, and they do this. And it is, we've had this for decades now. It's just, I think I like that instead of NBC pointing this out, like, this is a crazy anomaly. Oh my God. Like the way, what his name, Troutwig used to say, oh my God, she's so old. She's graduated from high school. She's probably going to die on this vault. Now it is, look at how great this is. There's all these college educated athletes competing in elite. That fully answer the question?
Yeah, I think most simply, it is just like, who are you training with? So for Jocelyn Robertson, she's not training at World Champion Center. She's not training with Damon and Patrick at World Champion Center doing her elite routines. She's at the University of Arkansas being coached by Chris Brooks. Chris Brooks and Kyla Ross were there as her coaches at this competition because that's who she's training with right now. So it's just, who are you training with? We did have a question that I don't know the answer to, and behind the scenes is about compensation. And how are they paid? Is this like a bonus to your job as a college coach and your salary? Are you getting paid extra? Which I don't know the answers to how the payment works. But yes, you can do it. Does it create dramas? Sometimes. We have seen club coaches who coached a gymnast from an egg, and then they go to college and are representing their college, and they feel like the club coaches get a little mad because they feel like they're not getting credit for coaching this athlete who is now represented. They don't get their gym name said and get the advertisement of, we're coaching this athlete, which has become an issue before.
We have, Florida had Sky and Leanne there. Leanne's a gymnast who's gone back and forth. She went back to Gage for one championships after college and then decided to stay with Florida, and it's basically what people want. And Cello did it too. She was at
She
Florida,
went
then
back
she
to
went to
Hills.
Hills.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
they were, that was Leanne was a Florida at the last summer. Leanne was a Florida gymnast, but Kayla DiCello was a Hills gymnast because it was just where they were training their elite routines.
So it is one of those things that it's like, for some people, the college coaches work for them as their elite coaches. For some, they don't. They want something different, or they want a different training environment. But it is basically whoever you write down as your coach is your coach, which is so much more fun in wrestling because people write the craziest things down. But but apparently this is also what were you saying on behind the scenes? Who else does that? They just write down their crazy bios.
Well, we had I was saying in theater, like
theater
programs, you write whatever the hell you want in your bio.
Do you think they should do like more of an introduction for the athlete? They don't really do this at USAG, and I feel like they don't do it because they feel like it's going to bias the judges or something, which I'm like, oh my God, all the judges know who everybody is. But they to do an intro, like, up next on bars, world and Olympic champion from blah, 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 so-and-so, and her favorite hobby is knitting.
Well, don't do that, because that's boring. I don't want that information. It's like the USAG profile pages where they ask them these questions, like the first time they competed at the Nastia Lukin Cup, and it's like, what's your favorite TV show? And they're like, Paw Patrol or something. They're not that yet, but it's a fact. And then they become like,
someone put Paw Patrol down.
Like a 19-year-old, and their bio still says like, my favorite subject is pre-algebra, and they're like a professional mathematician now. So it always feels dated when you see those things. I would definitely say that. Like, if they're asking you what your favorite TV show is and you think it's really dumb, just say Paw Patrol.
Yes, always say Paw Patrol.
If you also would like a mini commission where you can ask a question or have us talk about anything, basically, make it like slightly about like Beam or something would be good, but basically anything. You can do that too by joining Club Gym Nerd at the world champion level at gymcastic.com.
Spencer, who is the best gymnast in the world in 2025?
This is a discussion I wanted to have because I do think it is always fun, but for so long we've had an obvious answer. Because when you ask who's the best gymnast in the world, you kind of just say Simone because it's true. And even in the last quad, when, in between Olympics, when Simone wasn't competing elite, Andrade kept going. So that was also a really easy answer. It's been a long time since you didn't easily say Simone or Rebecca Andrade for who is the best gymnast competing right now. It's been since, like the 2017 Worlds when we've had a conversation about who's the best gymnast in the world, and there isn't just like a correct answer. And so I thought it would be interesting to delve into who do you think arguments for different athletes, so first of all, just first instinct, you didn't think about it, you didn't make any logical arguments. If I said it's 2025 competing right now, who is the best gymnast in the world right now? What's your answer?
Manila Esposito.
That is the correct that is your answer, and I think a very convincing answer.
Thank you.
Yes, I think you have a very good argument.
Art, difficulty, consistency, and excellent E scores, which are undervalued sometimes when people are just going for D, and then they don't end up with great scores because they're messy as hell.
I think there are arguments to be made for others, though. Like, for instance, she does not have the top all-around score in the world this year, Esposito.
I know. I don't know why.
It's ridiculous. But I think you can say, okay, let's look at Hesley Rivera. 56.4 on day 2 of nationals is number 2 in the world, the second highest all-around score we've seen so far this year, and the highest one was at Russian Cup. So it's fair if you want to throw that out as a ridiculous score and say, in more sane scoring, if you consider the scoring at US Nationals more sane, and I would watch Hesley Rivera's day 2 floor routine and her floor score and say not necessarily, but you can make that argument, especially based on her nationals results. Anna Kalmikova, who is an authorized neutral athlete like Melnikova, does have the highest all-around score in the world this year. It's 57.365. has won Russian Cup the last 2 years. The 57.365, that score was ridiculous because she almost fell on a leap on floor and got an 8.2 E-score. So, but how ridiculous is the question?
Right.
Like, I didn't go through and like score each routine, but like brief eye test watching those routines, I was like, that's like a 1.5 too high. That's still like a high 55, low 56. It's not a 57.3, but that's still one of the top scores. And if you watch those routines, I'm like, that could win the all-around at Worlds. If she's at Worlds, if they're independent, like very easily that performance, except, that time she almost fell on a leap on floor, could win the all-around at Worlds, and she should be in the conversation. Like, she has a good handspring Rudy on vault, which is the same D score as the Amanar, and that gives an advantage over the other top athletes we're putting in this conversation. So I think she does need to be in that conversation. We'll see how Melnikova looks at Paris if she ends up competing, and then we'll potentially add that to the conversation, but we'll see. I would say my answer, which is kind of a Jessica answer, which is does the best gymnast in the world have to be an all-arounder? Because the best gymnast in the world is Kalia Namur, because bars.
Yeah.
But then also that beam routine she did in qualification in Tashkent, when she got a really 14.65, if she has just like low 13s on the other events, mid 13s on vault and floor, that's world championship winning all-around performance potentially, plus being the favorite for the defending Olympic champion on bars, favorite for bars gold at Worlds this year. That beam routine, if she recreates that can win a beam medal absolutely at Worlds. So I think if you were to ask me the question I asked you, first instinct, I think I would say Kalia Namur for best gymnast in the world right now in 2025.
I love that you're saying that, because I love a person with a 15.
In there with the all-around, and individual event skill puts her over the top.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else I haven't named in this conversation that you think should be included?
I mean, there are many, but I just feel like it's such. I mean, like, I don't want to.
It's an impossible and useless question. I understand, but it's fun, and it doesn't stop me from.
I mean, this is the whole point. But this is the thing. Like, Melnikova is such a question for me, because I feel like, and all of the Russian athletes, because they're gonna be so pissed that they haven't been able to compete internationally, but they've been training and they have all their skills, and I feel like they might absolutely fall apart because they haven't competed anywhere, or they might just dominate because they're going to be like, you kept us out, now we will destroy, like, so motivated by the fact that they haven't been able to compete, and they also always have great gymnasts until they have to go to Germany to have their back surgery. But I think we should keep debate. This should be an ongoing weekly. So weekly we're going to have what was our other weekly segment that I've already forgotten?
Weird skills that have been removed from the Code of Points that I wanted to bring back to the Code of Points.
Yes. And then that's good, because if we can highlight the amazing clickable Code of Points, which is one of my favorite things ever that Spencer has on the balancebeamsituation.com or balancebeamsituation.com. Yeah, let's do that. So coming up, very excitingly, September 13th and 14th, Paris World Cup, starring Kalia Namur and Melnikova.
And Jessica Gattaro, Sabrina Voinea.
Big meet. September 26th and 28th, we have the Sambate World Cup. And then September 29th through October 2nd is the U.S. Women's Selection Camp. And then we are off to World Championships after that.
It's all happening. It's all getting going. Coming.
And we are going to have, how many days is it? We are going to have, how many days of podcasts are we going to have? All the days of women's podium training.
I feel like we should probably know, but I don't know.
Okay. I think it's
upwards of several.
It's over a week of daily podcasts happening from Jakarta. I will be there. Patrick will be there. Deanna Hong is coming with us as usual to do her amazing videography. So if you guys have questions for athletes, or you have suggestions for fun things we should do in the mix zone, as we like to do, because we like to be the people that athletes just jump in front of them, are like, ask me. You always have fun questions. And I'm like, yes, This is what we've worked for all these years. You can send them in to gymcastic@gmail.com. And I want to play you guys for our outro after we finish our little Morgan Herd teaser, which, if you're not a visual listener, will be a lot of giggling. But until Friday for Behind the Scenes, which you club members get, it is an hour plus of us just answering your questions and also talking about life stuff. We will see you guys on Friday at noon Pacific. It's 8 p.m. GMT. And until then, please remember to take up on gay, split on rights. See you at noon Pacific for Behind the Scenes. And here's a little Morgie Boo.
Go.
Okay. On second Achilles, sir.
These are the things you can't see because you can't read them because you.
Oh, the sports.
Yep.
The governing body of gymnastics. Skip. Okay.
Hey, don't drop the bar, okay?
And you like winning too.
I do like winning.
I see. Yeah, Gym Nova equipment was not. Is that how many? Did she do 20?
But we would take it after dinner so that they didn't see, and we kind of like hit it in front of our stomachs and stuff.
Were you aware of these crimes being committed? Slava has no idea.
Slava honestly didn't care. So we took down the mattresses from all of the bunk beds, and we were doing like.
I also heard that you kept a pet at camp.
My friends at college were definitely like pretty like shocked.
I said, and Lily kind of called me out for this, but I said, Tom Forster is lying. He is not telling the truth. And she was like, well, the intention has to be, there should be intention behind the word lying. And I was like, well, if the athletes haven't been talking to them, that's a lie. But how do you feel?
So why are we making this circle? Not a single person knows how to actually dance that's worth being inside that circle. That's just how it is. We're born and raised in.
Yeah,
I knew you would know things like I don't remember. Leanne Wong.
Okay, so from Casey online, if the Tokyo Olympics had taken place in 2020 as planned, do you think you'd have been on the team? If so, who would you have replaced?
Okay, what we're doing right now,
A show, a performance, a podcast,
but almost podcast.
Go! Yeah!